So there was a point in time where there was basically 7 people, 2 dogs, and a cat living in my house.
And that's a sitcom. Thursdays on True TV. Hello, Sequoia.
Hi, Mike.
How's it going?
It's going great.
That's good. Oh, wow. What a conversation. Here we are at Professional Talkers. Welcome, everyone, to Professional Talkers, an advice podcast about navigating the awkward conversations that life throws at us. Not like this, because we're so smooth.
Professionals, you might call us.
You might, or at least we would call ourselves.
Today, I'm excited because we are navigating a new group.
Oh, yes.
So, we started out, we're talking about strangers.
Mm-hmm.
The next time, we are sort of talking about strangers, maybe a little bit as well, but in the dating realm, totally different realm. And today, I think we're talking about friends, or at least friendly people.
Yes. We are talking about people, they might be friends, they might be acquaintances.
They might have met on Craigslist in 2005.
I've had the Craigslist roommates. That's going to come up in this episode. They also might be your spouse. They're your roommate, too.
That's true. I didn't even think of that.
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I love my roommate. Now, my new roommate, the 11-month-old, she's not pulling her weight as much, but the other one's doing okay.
Right.
The little one, a little messy sometimes. I don't know. Maybe she'll come around. She's new. She's getting her feel of the place.
She is, in fact, new. That is true.
The topic for this episode, what we will be covering, is telling your roommate that they need to pull their weight a little bit more around the apartment.
I'm excited, Mike, because my roommate era just recently ended. And when I say I feel like, I mean that's real.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever lived by yourself?
I have. I lived by myself for about a 3-ish year run. It was quite nice. The pre-wife roommate situation, not ideal.
Sure.
Wife roommate situation, nice.
Great.
Solo,
Yeah.
also nice.
Yeah. I moved out of my parents' house. I lived with friends up until I moved to New York. And this is the first time I've ever lived by myself.
Okay.
At the age of 30, I was like, it's time. It's time.
Mm-hmm.
And I've lived with roommates in a variety of different hierarchical configurations, right?
Sure.
I never went to the dorms in college. Did you live in the dorms in college?
I did, all 4 years, because at Rice it was cool to live on campus because it was a wet campus, so they let us drink and throw parties on campus.
Gotcha.
So all the cool stuff happened on campus, so everyone wanted to stay. And I think 3 years were guaranteed, but 1 wasn't, depending on where you were at, which dorm building. There were different rules and stipulations. But I was on for all 4. So
Okay.
I've also had a lot of those sort of things. But also we had a maid service. So not as many brustly things of do the dishes. It was like, no, just make sure the trash is in the trash can. And then multiple times a week, someone else takes out our trash.
Incredible. Yeah, that's definitely a different style of roommate type conversation.
Oh, the stakes far lower.
I moved straight out of my parents' home into off-campus college roommates.
Ooh, that's intense.
And I only knew one of them. The other 2 were new to me. And then I lived in a different configuration of that friend group, which is still, sort of like my main found family folks until I moved to New York, basically.
Okay.
I've lived in a house that one of them owned. I've lived in a different house that another one of them owned. They've lived in a house that I owned.
That's great. You've got a lot of different ones. I have a lot of different ones because me actually living with people I would consider very close friends was not common. The college stuff, I loved all my roommates. Everything was great. Freshman year, obviously didn't know them. And then starting sophomore year, I was able to pick who I lived with. And that was all wonderful and great and perfect. And what the ideal community in life should and could be if we all lived in walkable cities with communal spaces. But After college, I moved around quite a lot because I was in a rotational engineering program. So I moved every 6
Oh.
months for my first 2 years out of college.
Oh my gosh. That's crazy.
Yeah, it was this engineering thing where you did 4 different roles within the company to kinda see the things that they offer before you long-term commit, where you wanna work in the company, or like me, where you wanna work and then leave so you can become a podcaster full time. The whole classic engineering experience.
Yeah, the engineering to podcaster pipeline.
Of
Yep.
course, yeah. Now, in that setup, I had, let's see, my first 6 months was with 2 very close friends, and it was awesome.
Mhm.
My second was with a Craigslist roommate.
Okay.
My third was with 2 people that were coworkers of mine, and we were fine, but we weren't
Sure.
friends. And
Yeah.
then the fourth one was with someone I was pretty close with at the company. Friends, but not necessarily like a lifelong friend, but one of my closer friends at work. And then after that, I lived in Seattle for 2 years by myself, and then back to New York with someone I did know, friend of a friend, for a year, and then moved in with my wife, Kelly, and then that's been that.
Right. This is great. We bring quite a variety in
Yeah.
of different roommate type situations.
Right.
I have never gotten the Craigslist roommate situation or the dorm room. You're just stuck with whoever they stick you with sort of a
Mhm.
situation.
Mhm.
And I have lived in some messy houses.
Yeah.
We were gross.
I think what's tricky is that I personally think that having this conversation with someone you're actually friends with is way harder
Sure.
because the stakes are so much higher.
Yeah.
Because I will say, and we'll definitely get into it, I had this conversation with my Craigslist roommate in Berkeley, California, and I think I handled it about as well as you could have, and it still went so poorly.
Oh
But
no.
afterwards, I was just like, "Whatever. I'm only here for 6 months. I'm never gonna see this guy again.
Sure.
I will never speak to him. Who cares?" But if I had to have this conversation with someone I really liked, like, I wouldn't wanna tank a friendship because I was like, "Can you please clean the floor? It's sticky." So, I've never actually had to had that. I've had this conversation one time with this roommate, and then my wife and I have had this conversation, which is a very different one and
Sure.
not necessarily the focus of this episode. We're going more for
Right.
the other stuff. Have you had to have this conversation specifically with your roommates that you were closer friends with?
Mike, this is so hard because I feel like for the majority of my living with people, well, for at least 50% of it, I was the person who needed to be had the conversation with,
Ooh, more perspective, more perspective.
which is crazy to think back on now because I am so clean. My apartment is pristine at all times. But when I was a college kid, and this is something listeners, for those of you who listen to my other podcast, Fanatical Fix, you will be very familiar with my co host there, Kim, who I lived with in that very first house out of my parents' house in college. And she is constantly roasting me about leaving half drunk glasses of milk around the house
No.
for
Oh.
days. Days, Mike.
Oh.
I was a
Ugh.
bad person. I was a bad person.
Was.
Was. I needed people to have that conversation with me. I don't think we ever did, though. I think we were all
Ooh.
just kind of like, they'd be like, ha ha ha, Sequoia, leaving all these glasses of milk around in a way that I probably should have picked up on, but I don't think I did at the time.
Mhm.
And then after that, when we all lived in the house that I owned, I was like weirdly passive aggressive about it.
Oh my goodness.
I think my experience and now my older, wiser self can give this advice
Yeah.
based upon the experience I have had. Have I ever successfully had this conversation? I'm going to say no.
And look, I have not either, in that I think I did so well, but it did not go well. The ones that I've had with my wife have gone over much better, but it's a
Right.
lot easier and it's a whole different ballgame. That being said, we do still have advice and pitfalls.
We do.
I guess we'll have to put the big do with it what you will. I still feel confident about the advice that I have here because even if I haven't had this exact conversation since, I feel like I've had similar type things, like things in the area of I've recognized some sort of problem. I only want to bring it up when it's absolutely necessary. I care about either this person or like our relationship together. So it's adapting from that. And I
Right.
really do think I nailed it when I did it with my roommate at Berkeley. I really do.
I'm so excited.
Before recording this, I talked about it with Kelly. I gave her the full breakdown. And she was
Yeah.
like, yeah, I think you did it right. I was like, okay, I'm not
Okay.
ridiculous, right? So we'll get into it. We'll get into it. How many pieces of advice do you have?
Let me get out my legal
I also
pad.
have my legal pad. It feels so
Uh,
good writing in it.
it does.
And I have one of these like thicker, inkier pens, and with the
Oh,
extra cushion of all the paper behind it, it doesn't bleed, and like you get the little like.
I gotta get myself one of those pens.
My handwriting looks better. If anything, you take away from this podcast, legal
Yeah.
pads are great.
Folks, lined paper, turns out, awesome.
Pretty good. Were you a college ruled person or a wide ruled person when you had notebooks?
I was an aesthetic person.
Oh.
It just was like whatever was the cutest notebook. It really didn't matter.
I really wanted college ruled at all times because there was the thinner ones. It wasn't as wide, so you could get more lines per page. And I never wanted to run out because you would get a 100-page notebook. But if it's a 100-page college rule, that gets you more real estate.
Right.
So I was the flip. I would see a notebook I really liked and it had a cool design like Derek Jeter in the New York Yankees. And then it would say wide ruled. And I'd say, get this out of my face.
How dare you?
How dare you? I have language arts notes to take in this. In fourth grade. I got to learn about linking verbs and I got to fit them all on the same page.
Hey, this just proves that you were taking notes and I was not. Okay, how many pieces of advice do I have? I have 4 pieces of advice.
So do I.
Wow. We keep doing it.
This time I thought I was like, I'll do 4, and I bet you'll only do 3.
I know.
Alrighty. How about you go first? What's your first piece of advice?
My first piece of advice is to either engineer or, if the opportunity arises, bring up this topic as organically as possible.
I like that. This was a piece of advice I thought of, but I didn't know how to describe it. So I'm glad you are doing it because I was like, I know this is good. I don't know what to say because it's
Right.
challenging.
It's challenging because it's so ominous to be like, we need to talk.
Yeah.
You know, like that's just not, it doesn't matter what your relationship to the person is. Anybody says something in that ballpark and it's so nerve-wracking.
Totally.
So you don't want that energy like spoiling the conversation that you're going to have.
Right. Because then they're going to come into it dreading it. You're going into
Yeah.
it already worrying. Maybe they're already thinking about what they're going to say back to you. Yeah.
You want to keep it as chill and cool and normal. And like you might have to engineer it a little bit.
Yeah.
If it seems to be coming up organically, then it's just a normal day
Yeah.
and everything is normal. As soon as you deviate from normal, that's when people get defensive.
Right. Yeah. Because now it seems more like, even though you've been thinking about this for weeks on end, it seems like this person did something with the vacuum and you're like, oh, that reminds me. I was just thinking about, I just had this idea.
Yeah.
Could you empty out the vacuum when it gets full?
All you have to do is simply wait for Sequoia to put down a glass of milk, not pick it back up, and start to walk away from the glass of milk.
Mm-hmm.
And you won't have to wait long for this to happen, I don't think. I think it happens frequently enough that you can be like, Sequoia, hey, actually, would you mind dumping that out and maybe rinsing out the glass? That one over there got kind of smelly. Ha 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 ha. You know, but like you segued into the conversation without being ominous about it.
Right. I think the key with this one is you can't make it sound too passive aggressive.
Yeah.
You have to try, if you're going for this maneuver, to make it very genuine, and you have to make it seem like, oh, hey, by the way.
Yeah.
As opposed to like, did you mean to leave the glass on the nightstand, Sequoia?
It's more of a, "Oh, hey, are you gonna come back for that glass? Could you actually dump that out in and if, in the future, when you have glasses of milk, if you could dump those out when you're done with them and rinse out your glass, that would be great."
Yeah, I think that's good. And that's going to kind of get into a piece of advice that I have. So I will kind of naturally segue into one of my pieces of advice, which
It's
is
all happening organically.
explain why you are giving this feedback so that they can see where you're coming from and
Right.
also try to see their perspective. So in this particular example, you can say, I'm sorry, the smell of milk that's been out for a while just really bothers me.
Sorry, your rotting milk is so nasty.
Yes. So this, I mean, even this can get into the like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like, it's my fault. I'm the weird one. I don't like the smell of spoiled milk. It's my bad. Would you mind? But at the very least, if you are explaining the perspective, then it doesn't seem like you're scolding them. It doesn't seem like you're being a stickler. It doesn't seem like you're being,
A mom.
yeah, you are explaining like, there is a reason why I'm saying this, and it's this. I've teed it up enough. Let's get
Oh, yeah,
into
let's do it.
the story. So this was a dude I lived with in Berkeley, California. Found him on Craigslist. We Skyped because this was 2014 when I moved in. Everything seemed cool. It was basically he had a 2-bedroom spot. Him and his girlfriend had an extra bedroom. I was going to be there for 6 months. Cool.
Nice.
Things were mostly fine. Like months had gone by before we had this conversation. Everything was chill, never really stepping on each other's toes. Had the kind of groundwork of like, do this, that, whatever, had our schedules. What started happening though is all the stuff in the kitchen was his. So like he had all the pots and the pans and all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
Because of that, I tried to treat things really well. But what would happen, he would always make breakfast for himself before going to the office. And he would usually just like heat up something in the pan. And he had 3 pans. He would usually leave it dirty. And then to his credit, he would usually clean it when he came back.
Right.
His big thing was he would do like deep cleans of the kitchen on weekends. What started happening months in is he would do this move and then not clean a pan. And then he would then the next day use pan
The
number
second
2,
pan.
do it and not clean it. And
Yes.
then day 3, use the 3rd pan, not clean it.
And now there's no pans.
Yeah, it happened enough where I wanted to talk to him about it because in the mornings I would always have like cereal or oatmeal or something that didn't utilize cooking stuff.
Right.
And then I would usually cook something in bulk over the weekend, and that would be what I'd bring in for lunch at work. But when I came home from work or home from the gym after work, I would want to come home, make something real quick, and then go out because I did a lot of improv in the Bay Area and stuff. So I would like go home and then have to eat really quickly, hop on the BART because it took 45 minutes to get into town.
Yeah.
And stuff would start at like 7. So I would have to be pretty quick. So it happened enough times that I would come home, all 3 pans are dirty. I would clean the pan, cook my stuff, clean the pan again because I'm not a garbage person. And then
Yeah.
put it away, whatever. So there was one day where I was doing this, like I was actively cleaning pan number 3 that was dirty so that I could cook and stuff. And then he came home from work and let me come up with a fake name for him.
Chester.
Cupid. Oh, you choose Chester or Cupid.
Cupid.
Cool. I was doing this and Cupid came home and I was like, hey, Cupid. Hey, Cupid, I know that you use the pans in the morning when you're making breakfast and then you run out to work. I totally get it. And I honestly don't care if you have dirty pans, but is it possible just to leave one of the 3 pans clean for when I come home from work? Because I like to cook once I get home so that I can make dinner and then go out because I'm doing all my improv stuff.
Right.
Now, his response was,
Hmm.
you threw a party last weekend and there was broken glass on the patio and I had to clean it up.
Oh my God. That's not relevant.
Yeah. So, was that true? Yes. Did I tell him that I threw the party? No.
No.
Was it because I was 23 years old and I was too afraid to ask my Belgian roommate, how do I have a party when you're out of town this weekend? So, you are correct, though, in that it was not relevant. So,
That's not relevant.
I was so proud of myself. I said, you're right. My bad. We can talk about that later. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
However, can you please just leave me one clean pan? And I think he was still, he
Yeah.
like grumpily was like, sure, fine, blah, blah, blah. And I even said in the thing, I was like, I know you do the kitchen deep cleans on Saturdays and it's awesome, but during the week, I just need one of the 3 pans to be clean. And he did not take it well. So that was how that all went down. I tried to explain where I was coming from. I come home from work. I got to be quick because I do these improv shows at night, whatever. And I also tried to understand his perspective. I know that you also are like getting out in the morning. You don't have time, blah, blah, blah. So my piece of advice is bring the perspectives into it so that they can see where you're coming from. I tried my best to do that. Still didn't work.
Man, that style of engaging with criticism it's wild. It's wild every time.
And this dude was much older than me. I'm pretty sure I was 23. I'm pretty sure he was like 28, 29 at least.
Mhm.
So it was astounding. Now, I have reached out to him on LinkedIn.
I was wondering, you said you were going to try and reach out to someone for this.
I have reached out to him on LinkedIn. I've sent him a LinkedIn message, which huge lift for me to go onto LinkedIn.
LinkedIn?
I do it once a year to update my podcast total download stats so that I look like a cool person. And then I get the
Right.
hell out of there because it's a hellscape.
Horrible place.
I have messaged him asking if he would
Uh-huh.
like to come on this podcast to talk about this. I have not heard back yet
Okay,
at the time of recording.
sure.
Time will pass between us recording and us posting. So now we'll cut to whatever resulted of that message. Yeah, he never got back to me. Wow.
Wow.
What an insightful bit of audio, huh?
Yeah, and I know what it was.
Yes. What's your next piece of advice?
My next piece of advice is come with a suggested solution,
Ooh,
but
yeah.
not a full plan.
Good, good, good.
It's going to be easier to come in and say, hey, let me use another real life example
All right.
of me and my college friends being gross. Hey, none of us have done any of our dishes in a week and a half. In order to solve this, maybe we should make a little chart of when dishes get done, who does the dishes, when dishes get done. You don't come with the chart.
Correct.
If you come with the chart, you've overwhelmed them.
You went
become...
to Staples?
Yeah. If you show up with like a whiteboard, washi tape, you are the bad guy in the situation immediately. So maybe we cool it on the spreadsheet. And I'm never one to say cool it on the spreadsheet. Okay. But in this instance, cool it on the spreadsheet. And just come in and be like, here is a proposed solution. Do you like this solution? What are your thoughts? What's everybody's thoughts? And then everyone is involved in the creation of the solution.
Yeah.
And therefore, everyone is invested in the success of the solution.
I like that. I feel like I could have utilized this piece of advice when I had something I forgot. I did have one issue with my roommates in Paris, France. So I was living with 2 girls who worked at the company, and it was a 3-bedroom spot, but my bedroom was, I'm not lying, a closet that was converted into a bedroom, much like this closet that I'm recording in right now, which is Kelly and I's walk-in closet for our bedroom, because we've recently moved the baby into the room that has the closet that I normally use for recording, and that baby is asleep, and we want to keep it that way.
Yes.
But my bedroom
Dear God, yes.
in this place in Paris was once a walk-in closet and was converted into a bedroom. My rent was very cheap because we agreed to pay by square footage, so I hopped on that immediately.
You gotta.
We usually lived like pretty harmoniously. Things are good. The problem was that there were 2 showers. One girl had the master bedroom, master bathroom, like all in her area. And then there was the other one, which also had a shower that me and this other girl were sharing. And my hair, relatively short at that time, even shorter than it was now. Like I had basically a little bit longer than a buzz cut kind of thing going on. She had long hair.
Yeah.
So our drain would get clogged pretty frequently. And it was the type of shower where it was like an inch kind of off the ground with tile and then like a glass magnetic door.
Okay.
So if it got too clogged, it would like seep out of the door and like onto the floor. So like there was a deadline of like, we have to get out. Because, we've all had the thing where we shower in a puddle of water, and if it's a bathtub thing, you
For
just kind of
sure.
deal with it, whatever. But this
Yeah.
was like, no. There's a certain deadline. So I kept buying Drano or whatever it is in France. I would buy
Mhm.
French Drano and like drain it out. And after doing this a couple of times, I had to tell my roommate, yo, our shower keeps getting clogged. I was like, it's
Yeah.
not me. Like, it is
Yeah.
you.
We could pretty much agree.
Yeah. I was angry about this, so I don't think I handled it well. But I was like, it is you. I keep buying Drano. Can you either unclog it sometime or you buy the
Buy
Drano?
Drano? Yeah.
And then she did neither. So I kept buying the Drano and doing it myself.
Right.
So yeah, I feel like if I brought her more into the fold
Yeah.
and made it more of a, hey, let's fix this problem.
The drain keeps getting clogged.
What could be doing this? I do keep eating peanut butter sandwiches in the shower, but what? What could be causing the cloggage?
I'm literally stuffing toilet paper down the drain. But what could possibly be happening?
I've been chucking silly putty onto the ground as I shower, but I don't know what's causing it to get stuck.
Yeah. I mean, it's like we're all in it together.
Yes.
And we're finding a solution together, and we're
Mhm.
invested in the solution together.
Yeah, that's good. All right, so my next piece of advice is actually a pre-conversational advice. This is what you want to do before you even have this conversation. This is
Ooh.
more applying to my more common roommate history, which is if you're not friends with the person, but I just don't think you can do this if you are friends with someone. If you're not friends with your roommate, talk to people you are friends with and explain the situation to make sure you're not the weird one. Let it out, say what's going on, say what's happening, and
Right.
ask someone who you are capable of being perfectly honest with and they are capable of being perfectly honest with you.
Yeah.
Hey, is it too much if I ask them to do this and let them know, like, I don't know, man, kind of sounds like it's not that big of a deal. Maybe you just do the dishes or I don't know, like just buy the Drano. So I
Yeah.
think you want a vibe check. Definitely if it's a roommate that you're not friends with, but I still think like you're living with friends, maybe talk to other friends. Be like, hey, kind of annoying. This is what's going on. It's been going on long enough. I was thinking of saying something. Do you think that's too much? Am I jumping the gun too quickly? I
Right.
think just get a vibe check to make sure. Get some outside perspective. Get a second set of eyes on the situation.
You absolutely can do that with friends because the thresholds are just kind of different for like thing that you would talk to somebody about.
Mhm.
Like, I'm gonna let a friend get away with a lot more in our roommate situation than I would let a stranger get away with. I don't know if that's true with everybody, but in my friend roommate situations that I've had, we all just sort of let each other get away with a lot of stuff.
I think the other thing, if you are talking with someone else about the situation, and this would have really helped if I did this with the Drano of it all,
Drano of it all.
you can get the venting out to your friend. So you have talked to this other friend who's not your roommate, you're explaining the situation. By having this sort of cathartic conversation,
Right.
you are leaving the anger out of whenever you talk to your roommate about it. Then there's no anger. Then it is just like you're saying, we're invested in a solution. Let's find the solution. You've already had the therapeutic. I cannot believe that we have 3 pans and Cupid won't leave me one of them. You get it out of the system. In addition to this vibe check, you're going to have a better time
Right.
talking to your roommate about it. Hello, listeners. It's Mike, just here with a quick little mid-roll break update. Just want to first thank the folks who have joined our Patreon most recently. That's at patreon.com/professionaltalkers. We have 3 new people at our $10 per month Talking Apprentice tier. So shout out to those 3 new patrons, Polly Burge, Scott Baylor, and Shruka, getting access to bonus content and all sorts of fun stuff, ad-free episodes, and more. So thank you all so much, and thanks to all of our patrons. The only other update I have here is that Sequoia and I will be performing together, both in person in in Providence, Rhode Island. And also, we are streaming the show. So no matter where you are listening from or how you are listening, you can watch us on stage for The Newest Olympian. That's my Percy Jackson podcast. We are covering the ending portion of the Mark of Athena. I'm going to be live reading the big plot twist. I don't know what it is. I just know that there is a big plot twist during that show. So if you want to see us being silly and stuff, whether you want to see that in person in Rhode Island or you want to get a stream ticket, which also comes with a 7-day replay, you can go to thenewestolympian.com/live. If you can't get enough of us and you want us in a nerdier setting, check that out. But that's all we've got here. You might hear some locally inserted advertisements after this before we get back to the episode, but then we'll get back to the rest of this episode.
I have a piece of advice for after.
Oh, okay.
And I think this is more specifically for friends. Is like if you talk to somebody, then you determine that this is something that you should bring up. You let it come up organically. You all come up with a solution together. And then you just so happen to be going out for a treat. Let's go out for a treat. Putting a little cherry on top at the end so that everything ends in a nice, happy place.
I like that a lot. That's fun.
People always say, like, you don't want to go to bed mad or whatever with your spouse. It's kind of like the same that you don't want to leave a conversation in, like, an awkward place. Hey, it's so funny. We have this podcast about not having awkward conversations. You don't want to leave the conversation in an awkward place because then you'll begin your next conversation in an awkward place.
Yeah.
So even if it does get a little bit awkward, you kind of got to plow through. Have a plan to end it in a different way.
Yeah. You could also kind of like reverse engineer this where if you are already planning on doing something fun with your roommates, you're going to have a movie night, video game night, new episode of whatever's coming on. Try to have this conversation beforehand.
Right.
Obviously, you want to make sure it's not going to be like so heated that you might ruin that night. But if you're talking about needing to do the dishes before movie night, then it's like, okay, yeah, you know, going to use bowls of popcorn anyway. So that is the natural lead-in of like, oh, right, popcorn bowl. I was thinking, should we do some sort of like dish rotation because we keep running out of them?
We eat so much popcorn.
Yeah. You can touch into some of the other advice that we had said where you can come up with it naturally as well. So I think a lot of these things link, but that's really good. I like that. I like that. So my third piece of advice is to ask your roommate that you are talking to what you could do to be a better roommate, or let them hit you with feedback. We all understand that this type of conversation sucks. It's awkward. Everyone has experienced some sort of thing that they've been stewing on for days on end. So offer up, be like, how can I help? And that will allow them to let something off their chest, and that can, you know, stop something from stewing and stewing. At the very least, just makes you look like a cool person that's a team player.
Exactly. Because, hey, maybe your roommate's cat keeps clawing up your stuff, but you're also leaving milk glasses out every day. And so
the cat thinks you're one of them.
You are the cat. Wait. Twilight Zone. I also like that because it leaves you, again, like we're saying, you want to leave on good footing. It leaves the conversation on equal footing.
Yeah, that's good. That's a big thing. That'll kind of come into a pitfall I have.
All right. I have one more piece of advice. The hard thing about the conversation is that you want it to hit hard enough that, like, it sticks without it being too much and veering into, like, you know, confrontation, full confrontation territory. I think a way to do that is instead of, like, coming in hot, to come in consistently. So the way to do that to me is to establish in the first conversation some type of visual reminder or cue, like a chart, like you went to Staples and you got the little chart and it's like something that hangs on the fridge or something like that. Or there's like a magnet and when something gets done, it gets moved somewhere else. Or like there is a thing that signals that everybody's doing what they're supposed to be doing to everyone else that is in like a public space so that you don't have to go back and continue having the conversation.
Yeah, that's smart. That's smart. And it'll also kind of help your roommate remind themselves, oh, right, I'm supposed to do this thing. It doesn't necessarily work for everything. I don't know how
Yeah.
I don't know how I would, without making Cupid look like a jerk, be like, is one of the three pans clean? But yeah, for dishes, for trash, for
Yeah.
things where you're trying to come up on a rotation or a schedule, like, yeah, that works. Classic, like the clean, dirty thing on the dishwasher that you flip
Mhm.
upside down. Cause yeah, you're right. This is already such an awkward conversation that we're talking about it for 45 minutes to an hour.
Yeah.
Do you want to have it again? You know, it's more
No.
awkward than the first time.
No.
Reminding someone that they got to do the thing.
Not
Oh,
again. Not again.
terrible. That'd be terrible. Okay, my final piece of advice is to tailor the message. Every roommate is going to be different. Every roommate
Yes.
dynamic is going to be different.
Right.
The way that you talk to a friend is going to be different than the way you talk to a Craigslist roommate, which is going to be different than you talk to your spouse. So, above all else, with all of this advice, really it does come down to what's this person like? Would they respond well to trying to casually bring something up? Would they respond better to something a little more in the direction of like
Mm,
an intervention where you got to be like, hey, is
yeah.
it someone that you're so close with that there's not as much awkwardness that you can just be like, hey, can you do this? Oh, yeah, my bad, dude. Cool. Like,
Right.
really figure out based on the person and how your communication goes with that person, how they will best hear the message and how they will best receive the message. I didn't know Cupid super well as a person, so I
Mhm.
didn't know that he was the most defensive person on earth. Maybe I should have talked to his girlfriend a little bit more.
Yeah, the pre-prep, the pre-work.
Mhm,
Yeah, it's an age thing too, like an age and experience thing.
mhm,
Because
mhm.
like, when you're younger, you might want to approach these conversations differently than when you're older. Like, if you're a little bit older, you're more likely to be like, "Oh, sorry, I didn't realize that I was leaving all the pans dirty.
Right.
Let me do that." Whereas if you're younger, you would think, except for in the position of Cupid, if you're the younger one, you might be, you might tend to get a little bit more defensive.
Yeah, I think he was clearly upset about the broken glass at the party
Yeah.
thing, and he had wanted to bring it up. And rather than wait for me to say, what can I do to be a better roommate? He was like, I'll hit you with this right now. But yeah, I also feel like not only just like being the older one in the dynamic, but also just like older in life in general. Like if I
Yeah.
was still living with not my wife at age 33, like I feel like this conversation would be like, hey, can you do the dishes? Like
Yeah.
this, I think this is much more of your early 20s kind of thing.
Yeah.
If you're in your 30s with a roommate and they don't know to fold their laundry, like they should move out. Like, get out of here.
Get a new roommate.
Get a new, yeah. Actually, one piece of advice: get a new
Get a
roommate.
new roommate. If you older than 30, get a new roommate.
Hmm, hmm.
Are we ready for pitfalls?
Yes,
Excellent. Would you like to start us off? How many pitfalls do you have?
I only have two.
I have 3 pitfalls.
You have three. Okay, then you go first, so that we can alternate.
My first pitfall is that you should not approach the conversation assigning full blame for anything to any one person in particular.
Yeah, even though I was right with the Drano, shouldn't
You
have done it.
were right.
I was
Yeah.
right, but was I a jerk? Because you can be right and
And a
rude.
jerk. Yeah. I think some people could also like get to a brain space where they're like, I'm going to go in and I'm going to take full responsibility for the fact that the dishes are never
Oh,
done.
yeah, no, you can't do
Don't do
that.
that either.
No.
Don't blame your roommate entirely or take all the blame on yourself.
That's good. I wouldn't have thought of that, yeah.
We must divide the blame equally amongst all parties to
Mhm.
keep the even footing that we were talking about.
That also could kinda get into just, like, trying to be on a level playing field. You know, if you do contribute to this problem, like, for sure mention that when you're saying this, like, admit, "I know I messed this up. I know I leave dishes. I know I do whatever." Like, definitely don't.
Yeah.
And I'll go to my first pitfall, which is don't condescend. And I think this kinda gets into it. Just don't act like you're high and mighty. Yes, maybe in particular situations, you might be someone's mom in this roommate dynamic, but don't act like you're someone's mom. You're
Yeah.
on the same level, most likely. Obviously, there's going to be different situations where you're not, even like you're saying someone owns the place, so they're living with you. But even So I think in a roommate situation, especially when you're given this kind of feedback, you want there to be a level playing field. So don't act high and mighty. Don't talk down on them. Don't make it sound like you're scolding them. Like you were saying, we are roommates. We're in this together. We're living together. We want the same thing, which is harmonious
Yeah.
living. We're both invested in the solution. Let's work on the solution together. Let's address the problem together. We are compatriots here. We are
Right.
colleagues. There's not a subordinate situation going on.
And you're right. It is especially tricky when someone owns the place.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I know that as both a person who has lived in a place somebody else has owned and as the owner of the place. I owned a house in Salt Lake, and 3 of my friends lived with me, and all of their significant others basically lived with me. So there was a point in time where there was basically 7 people, 2 dogs, and a cat living in my house.
And that's a sitcom. Thursdays on True TV.
It was trying, of course, and I still love all of those people.
That's awesome.
Nothing crazy came out of it, but, like, there were trying moments for sure, and it's hard to come into the situation being like, "Okay, I know I own this house, but I'm not coming to you as the owner of a house. I'm just coming to you as a person who also lives here,
Right.
and we all live here,
Mm-hmm.
So, like, there are definitely situations where there is kind of a hierarchy at play that you can't ignore,
Yeah.
but, like, you have to do your best to try and make it so that it doesn't seem like you're condescending to somebody because you own the house. And it's
100%.
really hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is really hard.
And you don't want to use that as a defensive, like, excuse sort of thing of like a way that you can avoid blame. Just be like, well, it's my apartment. Like, oh, whatever. Okay,
Yeah.
landlord. Like,
Yeah.
do the dishes.
I was also taking terrible care of my own home that I owned. So,
Alrighty, what's your next pitfall?
okay, my next pitfall is don't retaliate by also being bad. I know
Ooh.
that this is like a wild thing to have to say,
Mhm, mhm.
but I think especially when you're young, there is a tendency to be like, well, I guess we're all leaving glasses of milk out
Yeah,
around
yeah.
the house, you know?
Mhm, mhm.
Not that anyone did that to me, but like there is that impulse and you must control the impulse. Breathe in and out.
The other thing is, and maybe this is just because of how I would handle this, but if I saw my roommate cleaning out my cereal bowl that I left out and the frosted flakes are stuck to the bottom and they're like scraping it out, I would be mortified. So
Sure.
weirdly, if you go the next level, if you clean the thing that
Uh-huh.
upsets you and your roommate sees, they might be like, "Oh my god, I'm so sorry. I know I leave the milk out. Yeah, like you might not even have to have the conversation." So that's like next level. But I
Ooh.
agree with you. You definitely don't want to just be the person that's, oh, okay, well, so and so never takes out the trash. No, I'm never taking out the trash because it's like, all right, well, now your place smells like crap.
It's so wild to be here and this podcast talking to you about this, Mike, because every like 5 seconds, I remember yet another horrible, disgusting thing that I did as a college student where I'm like, how did I live like that? How did any of us live like that?
Oh, yeah. Shout out to me living on campus and having maids. I think that really helped avoid a lot of
Yeah,
the terrible things. All my meals were at the
seriously.
cafeteria. Like there was not much grossness to be had.
Shout out to all of my friends that I've ever lived with. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, my worst like sort of roommate thing is that I was always doing some sort of content creation as a roommate. So I was more of like a noise polluter because I would be making YouTube videos or vines or whatever. That's more of the bad
Right.
roommate vibes I was bringing to the table.
Mike, you're talking to me like I didn't
Yeah.
make my roommates film my YouTube videos.
Okay. My second and final pitfall is to not make a you problem an everyone problem.
Ooh.
You got to make sure that the thing that you're bringing up is actually something that affects everyone. And this also can come along with the vibe check with other people, but you want to make sure the thing that you're actually bringing forth is something that affects everyone and it's not just a you being particular thing. I think this is especially the case if you are the owner or the more default person in the rooming situation. You got to make sure that it's not just someone doing something differently than you. Do they put the pint glasses in wide side up or wide side down? Does it really matter?
No.
No, maybe it doesn't fit in your particular way. Like that's not a big enough deal. So if it's just because you like something a certain way, maybe don't bring it up. If you're the
Yeah.
one that's particular about something, like that's sometimes on you where you kind of got to be particular about it.
Yeah.
I think this is also especially true. Like this has come up with Kelly and I more on the your roommate is your spouse kind of thing, where you have to think a little bit more for some of the things of like, okay, I like doing this way. Like, for example, for me, I'm very particular about my clothes. Look at them all behind me here. Look how beautiful.
Right. Mhm.
I line dry my clothes for like a day and then I'll put them in the dry dress for like a 15-minute thing to finish them off and fold them.
I would expect nothing different from you, Mike.
Of course. This entire dresser drawer, this entire
Yeah.
top one, socks.
Uh-huh.
So,
Of course.
and underwear, but still. I am very particular about my laundry. Kelly's just more of a take it, put it in the dryer kind of person. Like, we kind of had to find the middle ground where I do want things to be line dried. Kelly wouldn't do it, but she knows it's important to me, so she does do it. Am I going to go the next level where, like, do I have particular rungs on the line dryer where I put things? Yes.
Of course.
The underwear goes in the middle so that it doesn't fall into the other support beams thing. The socks go on the outer right. So,
Oh, wow.
do I anticipate that if Kelly's going one step to already line dry the clothes, that she must also put them in the correct rungs? No.
No.
Did I notice that at first? No, because I was like, things go in certain places. And we had a conversation about it. It's like, okay, you're right. Not the
Right.
biggest deal. If the clothes are actually going to dry, like, cool. So
Right.
you got to make sure something you care about isn't just a particular thing for you. If you're going to bring it up, it's got to really be like a group affected thing.
Right. I was looking down here at my last pitfall,
Mhm.
and it's funny because I think you disproved to me in certain
Ooh.
situations, this can sometimes not be a pitfall.
Okay.
I had written down, don't clean for them,
Mm.
but I also see your point that in particular circumstances, that might actually be a good way to sort of like let them know that this should be cleaned.
Don't clean for them in
In
private.
private, yeah.
You want to do fake altruism? Be a fake good roommate. That's where you really go.
Right. Yeah.
Have your agenda.
Exactly. Don't clean for them with no praise. Yeah.
Oh God, no.
Do it for the likes.
That being said, though, my first roommate in New York, it was like a friend of a friend. We knew it was just going to be a year because Kelly and I's plan was like, let's live in the same city for a year before we move in together, just so we're
Sure.
not going from long distance to roommates. So I let a lot of stuff go because I was like, I know there's an end date, whatever. And this roommate was like pretty messy.
Okay.
That being said, like when there was a bunch of dishes in the sink, if like half of them were mine, I just did them all because it would have been so petty to like take out just the ones I
Yeah.
dirtied. That being said, if there was like a pot dirty, like absolutely not. That's way too much effort. Absolutely not. Or if it was like a dish that I was going to use regularly, he dirtied a wine glass. It's something like, all right, well, I'm not having a lot of wine in this apartment, so like I'm not going to clean that. But I'm not going to take out the 4 plates I know I didn't dirty because I see ranch dressing on them and I don't use ranch dressing. Like
Right.
don't go to that
Yeah.
level.
That's too much.
Right,
That's
right,
too
right.
much for sure. But yeah, me and my roommates absolutely did enable each other. After a week and a half, 2 weeks, one of us would break.
Yeah.
One of us would break and do all the dishes. It would take like 2 hours, and it was horrifying.
Mhm.
It was a horrifying science experiment that was happening in there.
But also, like, you can kind of use this as a way to have the conversation where, like, the dishes are super duper bad. You and your roommate are playing video games, and you finish, and you're like, I'm going to do the dishes. Don't worry about it. Maybe we should figure out a way where it doesn't stack up so much. Yeah?
Right. Let's make a plan for the future. I'll do them right now. Let's make a plan for the future.
I'll do this now, but
Yeah.
let's circle back. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
That can work. I did also just think of something that I don't know if it's really an advice or a pitfall thing, but it's just more of like a roommate thing I had. When I was in Houston, my roommate had a cat that did start to like tear up my stuff.
Mhm.
And that's certainly one of the like, this is not my fault at all. And I think a way that you can kind of have this conversation is just tell your, like, if something is 100% someone else's fault, like, and you might not even be able to do anything about it at all, I think it's okay just to tell your roommate, like, the problem and say, like, what can we do to fix this?
Yeah.
The cat, like, chewed up some headphones that I had left out. So I was just straight up like, hey, he's chewing on my stuff. He ate my headphones. Like, I'm going to buy a new pair. It's no big deal. But like, but what should I do to make sure this doesn't happen again? And then it's like, oh,
Right.
I'm going to stop. Or like, oh, I'm so sorry. Or, you know, be like, oh, he can't get to like this countertop. So just like, you know, make sure you leave stuff this high. If there is something that's like truly, truly not your fault, you can just present to the roommate, like, there is a problem.
Right.
I don't have a solution. What do we do? Kind of like you were saying before, like get the collective group thing. But don't be afraid if it's something that's like 100% their fault. Like bring it up.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Especially something like that. It's like, we're probably all experiencing the same problem, including you.
He's probably
So,
chewing up some of your stuff as well. What have
yeah,
you done? Yeah.
exactly. Exactly. I think that's it. That's all I've got.
That's all I've got. I feel like we covered a lot of different things. We touched all the bases. I feel good about it. I feel like I could have utilized this advice years ago when I was in more of a roommate situation, but
Super. I do feel like my friends are gonna laugh pretty hard listening to this one. And again, I apologize
mhm.
deeply for the milk glasses.
Mm, mm.
Do we want to do a quick recap?
Yes, let's quickly recap. Advice. I will say these in the order that I wrote them down and not necessarily the order that I gave them. 1, have a vibe check with an outside person first to make sure you're not the weird one.
Vibe check.
2, explain why you are giving this feedback so they can see your perspective and you can understand their perspective. Ask for it if it's not given to you. Number
Mhm.
3, allow them to give you some feedback. Ask what you can do to be a better roommate. Make sure it's not just one directional. And 4, tailor the message to the person.
Try to bring up your qualm organically or engineer a way to bring it up in a semi-organic way. Come up with a suggested solution, but do not arrive with a full blown plan. Make the plan together. And then afterwards, invite them to go do something fun. Let's go get a little sweet treat. And then, of course, come up with some kind of a reminder, audio, visual, whatever, that will make sure that people stay on top of the problem.
And then the pitfalls: don't make a you problem someone else's problem, and don't condescend.
Of course, don't blame it all on any individual person, including yourself. Don't retaliate by also being bad. And maybe sometimes don't clean for them, but mostly definitely don't clean for them in private.
It's perfect. It's perfect. Hello. So we have either queued this up in the audio or by a cool jingle of sorts, but we are here for yet another Gen Z introvert vibe check with our Gen Z introvert ghost, Sherry Ghost. Sherry, how's it going? How did we do on this episode?
Wow. We gonna have to get all the way to episode 3 to get to Ghost?
Yeah.
Dang.
We're both recording these all in one thing, so they're just becoming more chaotic as they go.
That was like 5 minutes ago, but dang.
But for other people, it could be 6 weeks.
Yeah, these are all like pretty good.
Nice.
Like I've used some myself in the past. I just happen to be like the least confrontational person ever, so it does get to the point where like I'm about to like explode and I will be bringing these to you, but I will try to do it in a civil way because I would
Okay.
like to continue living together in peace.
So you do let it get to that maximum level that you can stand before
Yes.
employing some of these tactics. Okay.
Yes. However, I
Mm.
do think some people are beyond help in the messy roommates department. My previous roommates, I just gave up
Mhm.
trying because it was like
Uh-huh.
living in a pigsty. My college roommate was the exact same. So with people like that, it's like I don't think anything is going to be receptive because you're making no effort even for yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
It can be tough, especially if there's like a deadline on it. Like it's a roommate that you have just for 1 year in college and you just know like I only got to put up with this for a couple more months or weeks.
Yeah, honestly, COVID came in clutch there because I only lived with this girl for 6 months.
Thanks, COVID. Thank you so much. Okay, well, cool. I think that was a pretty quick
All right.
check-in. We did a good job. Yay! That was another Gen Z introvert vibe check. Huzzah!
Huzzah.
This was very fun. I feel like we've really tackled this beast of an awkward conversation nexus.
Listeners, I hope this helped. I hope that you enjoyed this episode of Professional Talkers. You can find us on social media at ProTalkPod.
And you can support us at patreon.com/professionaltalkers. We do appreciate all of the support.
Mike, it's been great talking to you.
It's been great talking to you as well, Sequoia.
Listeners, we'll talk to you next time.
We appreciate you listening to this episode of Professional Talkers.
Professional Talkers is created, hosted, and produced by Mike Schubert and Sequoia Simone.
Today's episode was edited by Sequoia Simone, the music is by Bettina Campomanes, and the art is by Elliot Davis.
Can't get enough of the show? Get access to loads of additional content like ad-free episodes and bonus episodes as a thank you for supporting us at patreon.com/professionaltalkers.
And if that's still not enough, follow us on social media. We're at ProTalkPod on Instagram, Blue Sky, and Twitter.
If you want to watch the video versions of these episodes, head over to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@professionaltalkers.
We'd love it if you would subscribe to and rate the show on your preferred podcasting app, and we'd be especially grateful if you talked about the show to your friends or on social media. Word of mouth helps new shows grow.
Talk to you soon.